Hello, everybody, and welcome to There's a Will. You'll note that I have worn a hat today, and I'm in informal attire. In fact, my bad hair day was so bad that I've had to cover it with a hated New York Yankees baseball cap. And I hope my esteemed guests don't give me too hard a time about it. I also have my Toronto hat. Yeah.
Would you like me to wear that to make you feel better?
Would you like to wear it?
Try it on.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't worn one of these for about 3 decades.
Great Scott! I wish I looked like that when I wore a hat.
It's a bit big.
Great, but
you can make it
without any cap.
Yeah, but look at your Warhol-esque hair.
You think it suits me?
You try it. Try it. Let's see.
Take it.
It's catching. You don't want to try it. No, you're going to mess up your hair. See?
All right.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Work with my head.
Anyway, we'll put that there. That's for Toronto. And New York, Toronto being favorite Polish hangouts. I didn't have a Chicago hat at home. I would have brought one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very important. Beautiful day. This is the kind of weather.
That's why we want to be inside.
That's why we're inside. We tried to move the studio outside, but couldn't quite get enough men to lift it. We were lacking one or two.
Yes.
We had some weightlifters from around the corner who came in wearing brief boxers and large muscles, which was a little off-putting.
Yes.
So we sent them packing. We didn't send them packing. That's an English thing, isn't it?
Send them packing.
Yeah. We sent them packing, dude. No, we didn't. We just said, you know, please go away, sir, and here's some raw meat. And they were happy. So I have with me...
Meat. Red meat.
Red meat.
This has become a big expression in
raw
politics
meat or red
in Britain.
Meat?
No, that's red meat.
Oh, I have to read Pinsent. Guy Pinsent.
Throw your party supporters some red meat.
And Jarek, say your last name, Jarek.
Oh, it's quite hard, but
say
for you,
Sidorkiewicz.
Sidorkiewicz.
Relation of Adam Mickiewicz?
Yeah, Mickiewicz, Sienkiewicz,
yeah,
quite
all
similar.
these Viches. Yeah, all the same. You guys are all the same.
That's why we chose them.
Yeah. From Kyrgyzstan, right? That's the Vich.
Vich.
Yeah, from Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan.
No. I'm kidding. It's from Lithuania, right?
Not that far.
Litva.
Yeah.
Lithuania.
Lithuania, that
area. So if you have a Vich on the end of your name, it means you might be from Lithuania, right?
Yeah.
Or parts of Belarus?
Belarus,
could be.
Lithuania.
It could be.
Yeah.
Okay. Because people want to know stuff like that, because they wonder about Polish names. They think, it's a ski, or it's a Vich, and we're not sure why, you know. So I always like to know, I don't know, I like to know things like that. But then I'm wearing a silly hat, so what difference does it make, what I think?
Not very
Actually,
much, apparently.
Not very much. Listen, there's a lot of things going on. We were just talking before we came on. We're not doing serious war stuff on this show. We're going to come back to it. We're going to talk a little bit about it now, just to open the show. I got a couple of intelligent guests here, you know, and why not? See what your opinions are, right? So, with that in mind, we were talking, Guy, you were making a point before about that we've got the war fatigue.
Yeah.
And what that could lead to. Could you just tell the people here what we were
we're
talking
seeing
about?
it's it all the time, similar pattern.
Yeah.
You know, the news cycle is all about fresh news, but people are still dying in their hundreds, thousands in Ukraine.
In their thousands,
And, you know, going back to the Blitzkrieg in World War II during the Battle of Britain, they shipped out all the children and non-essential workers out of London and the other major cities to the countryside. That was all extremely exciting, big effort, everyone banding together for what was essentially a domestic refugee crisis. And very quickly, the novelty wore off, and then strains and tensions start. And we've seen exactly this similar pattern now with this ghastly war in Ukraine. Initially, the world steps up, huge aid efforts. Governments have stepped up as well to send lethal weaponry in to the Ukrainians to keep the Russians back. However, it's off the front pages now. It's sort of page 10, what's going on in Ukraine.
Isn't it?
And there are still nearly 3 million refugees in Poland alone, staying in people's homes, and they need help. It's not just an automatic process.
It hasn't gone away.
You know, they've got to learn Polish, they've got to learn English, they've got, and to get themselves standing up on their own 2 feet again. And, you know, at our own little level with Less Mess, we had a great wave of support initially.
Your company is Less Mess,
Yes.
which is the self-storage company.
Yeah.
That,
little self-storage business. And we had a new store just opened in Wrocław in the southwest of Poland. And together with a bunch of British self-storage companies, they stepped up and had huge collections running in Britain for aid, you know, heating, clothing, food, water, toiletries, you name it. And we had 150 tons shipped across into Poland. It was immediately snapped up by local charities, distributing both to refugees in Poland and into theatre, into Ukraine to help with the war effort. Then, of course, everyone realises that this charitable work sucks you in. It becomes a full-time job. And they've got a business to run and a day job to hold down. And everyone gives themselves a pat on the back saying, yep, did well there, and good luck. And it slips off the front pages. And this is what Putin's counting on, of course. They had a good kicking early on. They've regrouped, reconcentrated in the east. They've got their land bridge now to Crimea, and they're busy making ground in the Donetsk area. And we're not really getting good news on it. But we could suddenly find that they encircle a bunch of the Ukrainian army. They have to surrender, and the whole of Ukraine can collapse. And we could wake up one morning in a couple of months' time to find Russian soldiers parked on the Polish border in the west of Ukraine. And that will, you know, and then we'll be all shocked again that we didn't do enough to help now.
Yeah, because the point is this war fatigue started, really, it's been going since about the middle of April, and it just, the news dissipates. It moves to the inside of the newspapers, as you say, or less of it on the internet. If you look at Google News, there's one story. Kyiv still needs the weapons because of the regrouping, as you said, right, about the Russians. And this is the continuing cry, but it's the only story at the top on Google News. Then you have Johnny Depp, and story about
massive yawn fest.
Massive, yeah.
Did you manage to watch any of that court?
I think it was inescapable. I think everybody was watching some of it. I had it in articles coming up in Polish about it on my Google feed. So, you know, in Polish. So I guess it was translated to every language because it's clickbait, isn't it? Yeah.
I learned, unfortunately, at the end who's the winner, so I missed that.
I heard they both won, but Johnny won more. Anyway.
Yeah, well, she got 2 million and he got 10 million plus 5 million. 5 million punitive, I think. And then that was reduced to 350 because there's a cap.
But most important that he's not considered not being a bad guy. That's, I guess, the most he got out of that.
Well, it's interesting that lots of people like Johnny Depp, including most of his ex-girlfriends, which is hard to accomplish, really. But how many people like Amber Heard? This is a problem. So she has a lot of people who say, well, you know, a little bit difficult. But then his agent was saying that Depp was a little bit difficult. This is, you know, this is why you keep these things personal. And maybe a few friends, close friends would know. But you keep it personal because it's really nobody's business. And it's pretty embarrassing, actually.
Sure.
And she didn't kill anyone. Did she really deserve to be, no matter how irritating, did she, I mean, she didn't take much money from him in the settlement relative to his wealth. So she wasn't a money grubber in that sense. I mean, there's many more that are worse. Gold digging, whoop, you know.
But here we are, you see. There's people dying, horrible war.
And we're focused on that.
And the media grabbing the attention with the latest celeb, empty-headed story.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the inflation, the gas prices, I mean, you know, we have the worst inflation in 40...
more than 20 years.
It depends on where, because not every place... Poland's inflation is bad in Europe, one of the worst, according to the table I saw, if it's right. Some of the other countries...
but
much better off with inflation.
There is a phenomenon going on, what I noticed, that quite a lot of people use it the inflation as an excuse in different areas to high prices to get prices up in real estate. Let's suppose I've written some articles, so it was for me quite obvious that there is an inflation. We have about, what, 14%, 13 around?
CPI is officially 13, 14%, but the broader measures of everything is much higher.
But when you put into the
especially
details,
essentials,
you can,
like petroleum.
Yeah.
you can
gas.
notice that in some area this is artificially boomed, like in, I don't know, rental prices. I don't feel personally that it goes along with the like a level that is naturally done, because the prices in different areas are just made by people who want to take advantage of this, that this has just been going on. So this is another phenomenon that is not quite good when people take use.
In Poland, because of the war and refugee flood, there's also genuine pressure on space in the country. You know, hotel rates, etc., have gone up across the board.
Hotel rates as well as rental rates have gone up. Airbnb rates have gone up, for example.
But the local government has mass blocked lots of hotels for refugees, and that's fed its way through the
particularly
through
in
the,
Warsaw,
the
for example. And
but
a couple of the other
this
big
whole
cities.
inflationary thing, this is entirely predictable. We've talked about this many times, but this all comes back to the 18th century David Hume, 2 essays, Of Interest and Of Money, where he laid it out in a few pages, exactly what goes on when governments pump too much money into the economy. Initially it works, everyone feels great, there's lots of jobs going around, everyone's got more money in their pockets, wages are going up, but the price of goods are still lower. But eventually, that demand pushes up the prices. And so the real level of activity settles back down again, and all we're ending up with, as we're going to find out, as we already have, is the same level of activity after a nasty recession, by the way, which is coming down the train tracks very rapidly.
Very soon,
after we've settled back down again,
Looks like.
we'll find similar levels of economic activity, but with a higher level of government involvement in the economy. Britain today has a higher tax take since records began.
So does the United States.
Highest ever tax take.
Why is that? Because the United States has that too.
It's because it's become this wave of socialism.
Yeah.
Both parties in Britain
Because of raising taxes. Raising the tax level.
Both main parties in Britain are complete left-wing socialists in terms of their tax and spend policies. Boris Johnson has been prolific at spending, way more than even Jeremy Corbyn, who's a Marxist, dreamt of. You know, the excuse of COVID and priming the economy, spend, and then now tax, is, you know, it's destroying investment and incentives, because what happens is you crowd out the real economy. To get it under control, interest rates have to go up. And if we think that interest rates are peaking this summer in Poland, they've got another thing coming. So we had a COVID low of 0.2% of the sort of 3-month money in Poland. Since the end of October, it's just ratcheting up every single day. We've now got 3-month money at over 7% in Poland, right? So if you are used to interest rates of 0.2% plus a bank margin of, say, 2.5%, so your overall cost of money was 2.5%, 3%. Now you're seeing nearly 10%, right? A 4-5-fold increase in your cost of money.
Yeah.
That's going to cause massive pain. And anecdotally, we're seeing it now on Facebook.
How is it possible that we have still very little interest on deposits, although I did see a 5% if you put money into a special account and freeze it. How is it that we have such high inflation and interest rates still so low? I've never seen, it defies any kind of past logic.
We've still got negative real interest rates. In other words,
how is that?
In other words,
how can that work?
Inflation minus nominal interest rate gives you...
There's zero incentive to save
minus inflation.
money.
Yeah.
There's zero incentive to take money out of the economy and put it aside and grow it. By the average person. And everybody watching this knows that. And they'd probably like to know why.
A generation of low to very low inflation is almost... People have forgotten the lessons of monetarism. And pump too much money into the economy, it just results in inflation
Yeah.
and higher interest rates, which crowd out the private sector. And we're going to see this. And you know, right now, we're kind of in the turning point where people are starting to realise what's going on. There's a couple of Warren Buffett quotes. If you're ever having a bad day and want to get just a tiny bit wiser, just Google Warren Buffett quotes.
Anything he says.
And he's very witty and very sharp. And so one
The Sage of Omaha.
The Sage of Omaha. And one of the
Yeah.
ones is
Sage of Omaha.
there are 3 types of people on this planet: those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that go, "What happened?"
Yeah.
And we're getting the "What happened" crew coming along now.
I think they're in charge.
It started. I
some
saw
place.
anecdotally. I saw the whole waking up to this new world on Facebook about 3 weeks ago, where people were starting to scream about their mortgage payments.
Yeah.
Poland, most people are on floating mortgages
Yes.
in Poland, whereas in Britain the fixed rate mortgage.
Well, they
market's
brought that
very well
in the
developed.
States as well because
Sure.
people got really screwed in
Sure.
both countries
Sure.
in the 90s and the 2000s with floating mortgages, and so
Yeah.
they,
Yeah.
made that a
So-
thing of the past pretty much.
So we're, right now, because it gets reset every 3 months after the fact,
yes,
only now are people starting to feel the pain.
yes.
So the first thing that happens is people want to continue their comfortable life, and they'll start running down their savings. Then it gets reset again in another 3 months, even higher. Savings levels start to go down. People see less balances in their bank account. They start to pull right back. They go on a cheaper holiday or have a staycation.
Yeah.
They don't eat out so much.
Yeah,
And guess what? Here comes the recession.
yeah.
People
Here it
stop
comes.
spending.
This is what's happening.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
looking at.
And
Yeah.
again, if you're over leveraged, again, the other Buffettism comes in, is that,
Yeah.
when the tide's rising, all boats are floating and rising, and everyone feels great. Now the tide goes out, we're about to find out who's been swimming around without any trunks on.
Yeah, it's going. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be very strange. We're living in the strangest times that any of us and older people can remember, because
The world got drunk on cheap money.
yeah, and not only that, we just then you throw on it was just cheap money, but it was also attitude problem, like as with COVID.
Well, it got accentuated with COVID. In Britain, we had the furlough scheme, where you could send your employee home, and the government paid, I think, 80% of his salary indefinitely for as long as they kept it running. So essentially creating enormous amounts of additional public debt for people to sit on their sofas and get paid to do nothing. And guess what? A lot of people really like that. It was great.
I didn't like it.
And so a lot of other
It was
people, but a
terrible.
lot of people now
Yeah.
just feel that they can stay home, don't have to go to work, and still feel the world owes them a
Who
living.
wants to stay at home? Everything's happening outside. I mean, you want to be at home sometimes. It's like when you sleep, it's better
Yes.
than in the park.
Yeah.
I mean, the park's not bad if the weather's okay, but home is usually better. You can probably.
But pandemic changed a bit behavior.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what happened. Your opinion.
People, there's a tendency that I noticed that a lot of people change their actually attitude and towards a job, everyday life. They liked being at home, finding being at home as a sort of a freedom while working or whatever they do, and that really surprised me because I'm the guy who likes to work among people, get that energy from people. So for me, looking at whatever I do as for work, need to be around people that we all do something together for any objective. But that's what happened. Most of people actually like to stay at home. Actually feel more secure. They don't need to travel. They don't need to be. They don't need to get stressed because you work. You can get a break for 10 minutes and no one notice. Personally, I think that makes people a bit more lazy, but generally there were some data that shown that it's not that bad, and then it's a big issue in the States. And there's a big argument among a lot of people who discuss how the system should work for people, because the companies literally they are forced to put on the job application that you can work at home, otherwise they will not have workers.
Well, I absolutely agree with what you're saying, and the psychologists are doing a lot of studies on this, and in very simplistic way, the world's divided between introverts and extroverts, and the introverts love lockdowns, and of course the voices amongst the introverts who have a voice.
What about the perverts? What are they?
They should just be locked down. all the
Locked
time.
up.
Locked up, and locked down and locked up.
They need to be locked up. I just wanted to check
But the
on
introverts, you know, lockdown suits them very nicely because they find normal life and having to go to that office party really uncomfortable.
that. What is it called? Agoraphobia? Is that what
Fear
some
of
of these
open
introverts
spaces.
have? Fear of open space. Is that what it is?
No, I think it's more a
Or agoraphobia? I don't know.
more a preference for their own time rather than people interacting with other people. But don't ask me what the psychologist's definition of an introvert is.
I worry about what happened to the strippers during this time because they love interacting.
Yeah. How do you know when you're...
And it's unfair.
How do you know when you're talking with a Finnish introvert?
How do, I don't know. How do you know when you're talking to the Finnish introvert?
He looks at your shoes, his shoes when he's talking to you. How do you know if he's an extrovert?
I don't know. How do you know?
He looks at your shoes.
He looks at my shoes. He's extrovert.
When he's talking to you.
That's nice. Yeah. I have a joke for you. It's like, why did the little girl fall off the swing?
I have no idea. Why did the little girl
She had no
fall
arms.
off the... That's bad.
Quite bad.
It's naughty, but it's funny. You see, this is the problem with humor. Naughty humor can be funny.
Yes.
It's the surprise.
Yeah.
Because the trick of a joke like that is the surprise. You expect, well, I don't know. You see her falling. Why would you fall?
Why does Will have a cap on his
Why am I
head?
wearing a hat?
Why? Because he doesn't have a hair today.
I don't have any hair. I didn't put my hair on. No, you liked my hair, but I'm going to be mysterious about the hair, if you let me today, and just let the people in the audience, there are 3 or 4, who will be wondering. I should say 3,000 or 4,000, who will be wondering. But we prefer honesty on this show, so that would be untrue if I said it's 30 or 40,000. Sure. And people are writing all the time saying, Will, is that really your hair? And so I'm wearing a hat today so that to keep the mystery going, you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. They keep okay, we're running the end of the first half. But when we come back
Time for commercial.
with more exciting stuff. We're actually going to talk. We're going to go for a commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to read a little something about Warsaw. It's not long, and you might find it amusing. And then we'll talk about Warsaw past and present. And we're going to talk about your great stuff with the ballet that you're doing and some of the things you've been doing and the changing landscape.
Indeed.
Countenance.
Looking forward.
Of beautiful downtown Warsaw. Thank you for watching. See you after the break. I don't know why I'm sort of talking like Bill Cosby because he's not very popular. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. What a snappy tune.
Lovely tune.
Which
you wrote.
No, it was John Bon Jovi.
Yeah, you were John Bon Jovi that day.
Yeah.
3 days.
I was
of stubble.
channeling him.
Channeling your Bon Jovi.
Yes, I was Miriam, the voodoo priestess of New Orleans, told me if I ever want to channel John Bon Jovi, to leave it to her.
Yeah.
So I just give her I text her. I used to call her.
And don't have a shave.
I text her now. She's up to, all that stuff.
And don't have a shave for 3 days.
Or shower.
Too much detail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. Isn't this, we're having fun. In the first section, we talked a lot about the present situation and got off our chest some Zeitgeistisms. I don't know if you could say that. You probably can't say what I just said.
I think
you can say it, but it doesn't make any damn sense.
Well, like most of the stuff coming out of our mouths.
Yeah, exactly. You're going, well, I could do what they're doing. Yes, you could, but you're not here. So you'll just have to live vicariously. Now, Jarek, you didn't get to talk much last time, and we're going to keep it that way. No, we want you to talk more this time. And because you're a fascinating guy. I've only met you recently, and really, I mean that. You're a fascinating guy. You're doing very interesting things. You're an expert on the Warsaw lifestyle, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But also, you've been doing this really, we'll come to that in a second, but you've been doing this ballet, bringing ballet to the provinces from Warsaw, and that's really interesting, I thought. And can you tell us a little bit about
that?
It's a project of love, I think.
That's all actually that I like to organize different ideas, put them together, and bring out for people. So that's how it all started. From idea that in big cities like in Warsaw, there's opera, ballet, and all other things around, but not much in other parts.
Axe throwing, one of my favorites. A lot of that in Warsaw. It is.
There's an axe throwing place, actually.
Yeah, I've been there. Oh boy, it's fun.
And you can smoke shisha.
Yeah, I go there
Very
usually
strong shisha.
Right after the ballet. Yeah. And you can smoke shisha.
just to get rid of your frustration.
Just to get rid of my anxieties after watching Swan Lake or something. It's hurtful. Yeah. So,
but what we liked about the idea when it all started is just to put the things that people cannot see in small towns. So for them, that'd be a different type of experience.
Or smaller cities.
Smaller cities.
Yeah.
Even quite small, like Jelenia Góra, Bielsko-Biała, not even Wrocław or Bydgoszcz. Because we are touring the ballet all over the country. Tomorrow we go into Lublin.
Another tiny little town.
Yeah.
No, it's not that small. And a lot of students.
Quite touristic. So.
A lot of students, like 50,000 students or something, or more.
And what we like about it is just that we can give to a different type of entertainment to people. Because you know how it is, a lot of concerts going around, big names, bands, but not more about like cultural level of opera or ballet. So that was the idea behind, to show something different. It's not easy to market this type of cultural events in comparison to a concert that could be sold out within hours, because that's I would say, easier entertainment. For ballet or an opera, it's a different type of, there's a certain group of people who very much like that, but there's another big group of people that have a chance to discover that. So that's why we decided to go from here all over the country and show ballet with the dancers from Grand Theatre. And actually, what's
in Warsaw, the Grand Theatre in Warsaw.
Yes.
Some people may not know what we mean by that.
Yes, from Grand Theatre. And what is behind is just, it's in part, what we do is for the dancers, so that they can show what they've been experiencing for the whole their lives to different type of audience. And because they just hear, so a lot of people come over here, but for 40 million people country, not everybody can come to Warsaw. So we discovered what we could do about the program. So the whole formula is just pieces of different ballet put together during one performance. So there's a different ballets from Swan Lake or Scheherazade.
So pieces of those, right?
Pieces of different
with
ballet.
With the dancers from the main ballet in Warsaw, because they have a ballet school right next to the theater. It's famous on Moliero Street. In Warsaw. Beautiful downtown Warsaw.
And what we like about it is just the joy that we observe anytime during and after the spectacle. The people really appreciate that. We changed that program, from town to town, adjusting some to different audiences.
that's very interesting what you're doing. I just wanted you to speak about it a little, because it fascinated me that you would be able to get that together and organize that. You have a special interest too, don't you? You have a friend who's in the ballet, don't you?
Yeah, yes.
Your girlfriend.
Of course.
Your girlfriend is a ballerina.
Yes. Prima ballerina.
Leading ballerina. I wanted you to say it. You shouldn't be ashamed.
Yes, that's
Not everybody has a prima ballerina at home.
Yes, that's all how...
Or even in the same building.
Or even a ballerina.
Or even a ballerina. Or even one of those little things that you put on the cakes, you know?
Fairy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, before that, years ago, I had no clue about that. Generally speaking, I was interested in different parts of culture, but not very much into that. So.
This is the sort of height of the cultural offerings in Warsaw. You would go to the ballet, the opera. That's a beautiful building, and people go there. Oh, they dress. I go there. Nicholas Richardson, who's on the show a lot, no relation. He you were going to ask.
Yes.
And actually, you know Nicholas forever. Didn't you grow up together? No. I saw a picture of you two in short pants. It was weird.
Anyway, do you remember?
Yeah, he doesn't remember. It's too long ago. And
have you been on ballet? Been.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think
Nicholas likes it.
Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet is one of the greatest works of history. Incredible.
Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet. Yeah. The thing is, though, there's lots of things to do in Warsaw. It's a far cry from the old story by P.J. O'Rourke back in the late 80s, which was, what do they do for fun in Warsaw? Which is a nightmare story, but hilarious, about there's nothing in the shops and there's no decent restaurants, and but he does like his guide because she's a very attractive and entertaining person, and so he said he has fun in that way. But that was in his book Holidays in Hell, which he's going around.
A very witty writer. He died
recently.
Year.
We miss him again. You know, Norm Macdonald, him, as Americans. These are, these are the Peter Cooks of America.
An America with a great Anglophile.
Yeah.
And he was always fascinated and loved the way Brits spoke and how it's become cliche now, but when he was writing about it originally in the 70s and 80s, it was all fresh, very good humour, where he would make the point that an American or even anyone who's not British, when they spoke, but they had a good command of English, when they were speaking with a Brit, they would think one thing, but actually the meaning was completely the opposite. So, for example, he loved making the joke when, if you're asking a Brit what they thought of somebody else, if the answer was, one quite likes him.
One quite likes him.
The translation was, cannot stand him.
Hate him. Or it's the other thing that in American, if you say something is a little English lesson for people, if they don't speak English, quite, well, this is good for anyone, quite good. In American means good. But in English, it's like possibly dodgy, possibly not worth my time. It's quite good. Dismissive. Right? But in America, it's quite good.
Appraisal. A mixed bag was always the worst words to see on your appraisal. A mixed bag.
Not good.
Since you live here, you picked up Polish quite well?
Learning Polish is, I describe it as a long-term illness. There are bad days, and once in a while, slightly less bad days. It's just this never-ending cliff face you're trying to scramble up. It's not fun.
Exactly.
But actually, the thing that does encourage you and keep you going is Poles very generously saying it's great you speak Polish.
I provoked you now to speak Polish, but
well, it's very. People do say, "Oh, wow, your Polish is really good." I said, I just memorized 3 sentences."
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I can say this, but let's not go into any of the stuff we were talking about in the first part of the program. I wouldn't be able to do it in Polish. Maybe some, but it's a damnably hard language, and the problem is, even with English, the more you know it, the more, I've written a couple books, right?
Yeah.
That's freely available on Amazon, folks.
Here comes the plug.
I forgot. Yeah. Hey, it's fantastic. You read it, didn't you?
Yes.
Did you, but
Well, a few pages. It's still on my bed with the other
few pages?
With the other 12 books.
I was going to say it's a page turner.
It's competing.
It's not. It's not a page turner.
It's competing with Steven Pinker's latest
Steven Pinker's good
book.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
you've been saying that for months now.
I'll get on
For
with it.
months.
Okay, tonight
Steven Pinker.
I'll read another 4
So
pages.
you're supposed to say, "Oh my God." Only 4 pages.
How you got that inspiration for the cover page?
Okay, the publisher.
Publisher.
Yeah. Kurt Ryer came up with that. Yeah.
They didn't force you.
He's a famous publisher here. And he did some media magazines, a couple of very important, the original media magazines back in the 90s. He liked the book, so he said, let's publish it. And
We need to take one.
he, in fact, he loved the book, which really surprised me because he's like one of those professors who would say mixed bag.
Exactly.
You know, I expected him to go. I was timid a little, but not because he's liked other things, and I used to even write some articles occasionally, think pieces for his magazine. They were think pieces, so I got someone else to think and just put my name on it. And I like that. And then take some money because that's what matters.
Yes.
Yeah. And
How many ghostwriters do you have?
I have a lot.
In
And
town.
I have a lot of skeletons in my closet, too, typing away. So I have a lot of ghostwriters. And anyway, so yeah, he said, "You've done it." I said, "What? What?" He said, "You've written a really good book." And I went, "Come on, you're teasing me, aren't you?" He said, "No, I really like it." I was like, "What?" He doesn't like anything.
I've not read
He's
it.
always complaining. But he used to like some of my short humor articles.
He didn't say one quite likes it, though.
He didn't say one quite like it. He said, "No, I like it." I said, "Come on." "What? Really?" He said, "No, I like it." Because you never know. You never know. You're compelled to do it by some, writing is like gnawing on a sack of sawdust. And with no knowledge at all that anyone will like anything. So you're always amazed if anybody does. I mean, at least I am. I mean, there's so many other things to do with your time.
How's
Speaking
sales
of
been
things
going,
to do
though?
with your time.
How's sales going? Because I was delighted to buy one.
I've sold a couple of hundred or something like that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Come on, more than that.
No, I haven't. It hasn't been really advertised much. I think maybe 500.
Is it an audio version as well? Because that's
Not yet. I should do it.
That's because book.
I was thinking about putting it on my channel with this show and
only
just
a
reading.
tiny percentage of people on the planet who actually read books
anymore.
But
I don't even.
But
read
audio
anymore.
books has
I don't know if
caused
I'm capable.
audiobooks caused a bit of a renaissance. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people are reading through listening to audiobooks. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's easier then, isn't
Yeah.
it? But I don't know how you charge for that.
Search me.
Yeah, I mean, I could put it up for free. In fact, I started to do that on just the YouTube channel, just to put up for free some different articles and stuff like from my travel book. Let's go on to what I was going to do, which is this is my travel book called Szkoda, że ciebie tu nie ma, which means wish you were here, more or less. Right? You knew that, but they didn't. Some people wouldn't know that.
Literally a pity.
you know,
So
a
it's
pity
in
you're not here.
Polish.
You know,
and
guys,
pity you're not here.
There are applications around, generally speaking globally, that are making a great success. That what they do is just they get a shot out of each book within like 15 minutes. So actually the users of those applications get 15 minutes of each book and they consider it done. And it's really popular among people. They have like audience of millions of people, generally, globally. So people don't need to read the book, just get that application for 15 minutes as a short description of the book. And that's how they read the book right now. So that's a new tendency I noticed.
Yeah.
I wonder how much time we have left. I'm curious. Anyway, I once said that. I was interviewing someone and they said, "No one knows." I thought it was a thoughtful and also flippant answer at the same time, because no one does. Anyway, we're talking about Warsaw. This is the beginning. I told you we were going to do this. This is the beginning of an article I wrote some years, a couple decades ago, and it starts like this. It's about Warsaw, and it's my answer to P.J. O'Rourke, but later, in a different time, and about the transition. I'm not going to read it all because it's 1,000 words, and that's too long, but I'll read the beginning. Warsaw has a face only a mother could love. It's a birthday cake left out in the rain. It's a mug like Charles Bukowski's. It's a severe countenance compared to its Central European cousins, Budapest and Prague. Two undeniably beautiful cities virtually untouched by war. Krakow, twice as old as its upstart cousin. You like that? Upstart cousin. Yeah, Warsaw. Also calmly observes Warsaw with smug distaste. It's true, isn't it?
True.
It's true, yeah. This was vetted by Poles. They told me this was right. But it was just my observation.
In Krakow.
Yeah, about this whole article.
Is that written in Polish?
This is Polish and English in this.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it was published in Polish somewhere. I can't remember where. These cities are for lovers and lovers of ye olde Europe, while Warsaw is no sane person's holiday destination in the past. But that's changing, and we're going to talk about why and how. Because both of you are people who are part of that, have been part of the change. Warsaw is for tough guys seeking the atmosphere of Godard's Alphaville, crossed with a strong dose of the blues. Hopefully that's the only dose, right? And Warsaw is a crossroads. People stopped off here to do business they wished they could do somewhere else. My assignment on my first trip to Warsaw was to write a travel piece for a London magazine. Then I decided to return for a while. And a while became quite off and on 20-some years. So how does that happen? How does it happen, Guy? What are the attractions? And how has it changed?
Well, that's a pretty harsh but perhaps fair assessment in that opening paragraph there.
No. Do you think so?
Yeah, and
Certainly of the old
one finds oneself from time to time in a district of Warsaw on a rainy or a snowy day, looking around the communist blocks and wondering why on earth you're living here. But the positive side of that is, well, whenever you visit the south of France or Paris or Madrid,
it's so much better.
or Rome or New York or London, it's like, you know, the contrast is amazing.
Gosh, this is great.
And Warsaw's got a very central airport, so it's very easy to fly out easily.
You can get out of here.
And get out of here.
It's 2 or 3 hours from everywhere,
no, but
except the United States.
Joking aside, I think Warsaw's come on leaps and bounds.
We're joking.
Leaps and bounds. And, I mean, even a friend of mine who likes to take the mick out of everything, who was visiting last week, he was saying, wow, Warsaw's amazing now. Love it. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, this time of year particularly, the greenery.
In the summer, yeah.
But there's something which it's been coming along, but it's really come up to a new level in the last couple of years, is all the landscaping, all the details. They're getting all the pavements fixed.
Yeah.
All the landscaping they do in the spring, where they plant, in all the roundabouts and the site. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it really is good. As good as any
really
city.
is nice. And a lot of the provincial cities are doing these bits and pieces too.
And the architecture, it's been going down this stream. When you first kindly invited me on your show 2.5 years ago, I said how Warsaw is what I see happening with Toronto, but sort of 15 years behind. You know, I first went to...
Yeah, you said Toronto, and I said Atlanta.
I first went to Toronto 15 years ago, and it was like Warsaw 8 years ago, 7 years ago. It's, you know, it was very green, Toronto, very green, and a few high-rise downtown, and that was about it. Now Toronto is like Manhattan, and they film Suits in Toronto, or did film Suits. They ship in a bunch of yellow cabs from New York to give that impression. And Warsaw is not obviously quite Manhattan yet, but it's getting there, like a mini Manhattan.
The downtown is amazing now.
Amazing. Huge, lovely
buildings
blocks,
one after the other.
And also some of the low-rise stuff. I was invited to a party last weekend in a bar called Sireni Śpiew in a new development called Connoisseur in the Praga district. Now, when I first came to Warsaw 20 years ago, Praga was...
Nothing,
I mean, you didn't go to Praga in nighttime. In daylight, you went with some mates.
The Sireni Śpiew used to be downstairs.
They've moved it. They've moved it to this development called Connoisseur.
The two twins started it, these twin ladies. I used to go there and drink some wine every now and then. It was a wonderfly bohemian place.
But it's a mixed-use development now. You've got bars, shopping centre. They've just opened a new bit of a shopping centre. I knew it it must be brand new because they had actual leather sofas in the central arcade, so they've been very brave. They're probably going to get destroyed within 5 minutes.
And we have 5 developments like that.
But a
like
beautiful
Connoisseur
renovation,
and
but then a backdrop behind it of brand new office glass. The whole thing is actually a work of art, the way it all balances each other and comes together. So a very exciting, dynamic place.
It's
I've always seen
incredible.
that in Warsaw.
COVID knocked off one of my favorite restaurants, but it still seems that people somehow survived. And there's a lot of stuff happening. You said there are 5 places like the Connoisseur is an old vodka factory that was converted in Praga, which is the east side of the river in Warsaw, was not destroyed like the rest of Warsaw
recently
in the war,
there's
in World War II.
Fabryka Norblina half a year ago.
Fabryka
Norblina.
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 Nor.
Yeah. Blina.
Nor.
Quite good.
Yeah, it feels good on my tongue. I like that.
And there's Browary Warszawskie.
Yeah.
Quite big development. There's Elektrownia po Wiśle, Connoisseur,
Yeah.
Hala Mirowska, Gwardia. That's gonna be another one.
Hala
Koszyki is the first one that I know you very much.
We met there.
In
I like
front
it.
of.
I like it.
It's a very popular concept.
I like that area, actually. The center of Warsaw.
But this idea of a central bar and lots of restaurants around in a sort of hall environment, lots of people watching, very popular. Yeah, Noblina, they've done a great job.
Yeah, it's maybe the nicest of the whole.
Well, the first one was
They're all
the
interesting.
first one was Hala Koszyki.
Each is different.
It was just a ruin when I arrived here in 2003, with one little 24-hour beer stall.
That's right.
That was our stop off at 4 o'clock in the morning, after they kicked us out the club.
Yeah.
On the way home for some more beers to keep the party going.
Yeah.
And otherwise it was just a ruin, bit of ramble shack car park and bricks, and that was it.
Polish people like generally the places that are like a lot of different things in one place, like restaurants or shops. The other way around than like in England or France or Sweden. I've been traveling to Stockholm quite often from the business I do. So the people in Poland love the concept like that, plus the shopping centers more than other nations. Why they like to go all over the streets, little streets, and you have many different shops all over the city, not just in one place. Most people like everything put together in one place. That's why those places are so popular. More than many different shops spread around the whole city. Sure. You notice that's why shopping centers are so crowded. You know. Here.
Yeah.
When I was in Stockholm a few months ago, there was just hundreds of people on the streets, shops, not just in the shopping centers.
Well, there's a problem in Britain. People like both, but the shopping centres have really destroyed the high street.
I feel like we've only just got our trousers off and time is up.
Ready?
We've just
as we were getting started.
We're just starting, and this is why the show needs to be an hour and a half, or even longer. We have to do a podcast version, but this show will be on tonight at 10 p.m. on TV Republika, and we'll be on, who are our syndicators, and tomorrow night at 10 p.m., which is amazing. So if you can get that television station, Republika, it will be on there. And we thank them for running the show. And it will be on YouTube as normal from tomorrow, or as soon as I get the copy from our editor, Michał Zaboyna. Zaboyna. I just like to say that fast. Like,
Zaboyna.
it's like a spring or something. Zaboyna.
Zaboyna.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Guy Pinsent. Thank you, Jarek Sidorkiewicz. No relation to Adam Mickiewicz, maybe, but just a Vich.
There is some.
Distant cousin.
Just want to be shy.
There's something. You look a bit like one of those statues. Okay. I want to thank you all for watching. I'm Will Richardson, and this has been There's a Will. Thanks.